Welcome to our weekly roundup of key business developments in Sri Lanka. I'm Nishani Pigera. Let's first take a look at the main stories for this week. Sri Lanka hits a roadblock in debt restructuring negotiations. ADB projects 1.9% growth for Sri Lanka, warns of high debt despite reforms. And manufacturing activity at 3-year high. In this week's main story, on Tuesday, Sri Lanka and private bondholders met in Washington, D.C. to discuss the country's external debt restructure. While an agreement was reached on issuing bonds linked to economic performance and a governance-linked bond, sharp differences emerged on how to apply the adjustments in such bonds and on the distribution of benefits if Sri Lanka outperforms the GDP projections. According to the IMF, the proposals made by Sri Lanka have been deemed to be compliant, whereas the bondholders' proposals did not meet the necessary criteria. However, Dr. Indrajit Kumaraswamy, former central bank governor, speaking at an event on Thursday, said that the situation is not a barrier but a little road bump, as the contentions that have arisen are not related to the core of the restructuring package. The bondholders' new proposals included macro-linked and plain vanilla bonds with a 28% haircut and a 1.5% upfront fee. The Sri Lankan government said that it hoped to hold further talks as soon as feasible, a situation made critical as without an agreement, the next tranche of IMF support money could be delayed. In the light of such developments, the all-share price index at the Colombo Stock Exchange lost 214 points, its worst drop since October 2022, but saw a light recovery since then. On Friday, Sri Lanka concluded its meeting with top IMF and World Bank officials at the 2024 spring meetings. During the meetings, Kenji Okamura, Deputy Managing Director of the IMF, lauded Sri Lanka's excellent progress and implementation of a strong program. Okamura also emphasized on the importance of preserving the hard-earned gains through the program. Meanwhile, the Asian Development Bank warned that Sri Lanka's debt to GDP will be above 70% even after the debt restructuring unless it implements debt management laws. It expects Sri Lanka to grow 1.9% in 2024 and 2.5% in 2025, with inflation to moderate around 7.6% in 2024 and 5.5% by 2025. It also noted the outward migration of young professionals to cause a skill mismatch, prolonging a full recovery. The multilateral lending agency also stated that developing economies in Asia and the Pacific may expand by 4.9% on average this year from robust domestic demand, improving semiconductor exports and recovering tourism. Sri Lanka's private credit grew by 7.3 billion rupees in February 2024 after a 52 billion rupee contraction a month earlier. It was noted that last month's contraction was due to the rupee appreciation and after-season settlements by borrowers. Meanwhile, the central bank expects an acceleration in credit demand during the current quarter of 2024 from improving macro indicators. The Manufacturing Purchasing Managers Index in March reached a 3-year high of 62.5. The sharp turnaround in recent months continued in March, driven by seasonal demand and pickup in economic activity, with increased new orders in the manufacturing of food and beverages and textiles and apparel sectors. Service sector PMI also trended higher, with retail, wholesale, financial and transportation services driving the index higher. Next week, Sri Lanka will welcome Ebrahim Raisi, the Iranian President, to the country. The President's visit on the 24th of April is to inaugurate the Tehran-assisted $529 million 120-megawatt Uma Oya hydropower project. The visit comes at a sensitive time as tensions between Iran and Israel escalated earlier in the week, raising concerns of a wider regional conflict. In our weekly tourism update, during the first 15 days of April, over 82,000 tourists arrived in the country. Daily arrivals fell to 5,502 from 6,748 recorded in March. Since the beginning of 2024, the number of arrivals has reached just over 718,000. India was the primary source market, followed by the United Kingdom and Russia. At the Treasury bill auction held on Wednesday, yields on all maturities decreased for the second consecutive week. Bids amounting to 193 billion rupees were received, of which 78 billion were accepted. The Sri Lankan rupee depreciated against the dollar this week, with the central bank's indicative mid-spot rate ranging around 299 to 300 rupees. And with that, we wind up for this week. Do subscribe to our YouTube channel at the link below for regular updates on economic and business developments in Sri Lanka. Until we see you again next week, thank you for watching. Stay safe.